and bringing up the end of the formal presentations is our very distinguished, but still incredibly young, Jennifer DeFrancesco. Take it away, Jennifer.
Hi there. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I apologize, I'm a little under the weather today, so I hope you can still get my energy across to you all, but thanks in advance for your understanding of that. Next slide, please. Bringing up the rear of this presentation and thinking about what we've learned in the past 18 months, one of the things that we talked through in our past webinar was the skills that are needed for clinical engineers. So, as Tom said, a clinical engineer isn't just someone who fixes things. They do HTA, they do HTM. But I want to take that one step further today. The world needs engineers more now than ever. Of course, I'm an engineer saying that. But what I mean by that is the world needs people who are inquisitive and are looking for solutions and don't just see the thing that's right in front of them, but really understand the environment, the changing environment, maybe even understand what we know we don't know, and can synthesize solutions. There's many unknowns in front of us, as particularly as we go through variants, as we go through vaccinations and the different pieces of that, potential boosters. There are probably more things unknown in front of us than we've already tackled with COVID. Hopefully they won't be as life-threatening, but as you can imagine, it opens up the question, what does our new world look like? And what does the new world look like for healthcare and for clinical engineers? So healthcare is going to continue to look different. And what we need is really for clinical engineers to step up. We'll probably see in the next few years completely virtual hospitals. Some of us may be working for virtual hospitals, supporting virtual doctors and nurses, and people who, really are working virtually, and we may be working from our homes, supporting that care. And how do we do that? Telehealth has been talked about quite a bit here, and obviously that will continue to be prolific. Also care at home. How do we support care in the home so that people don't have to necessarily go into a hospital as COVID continues to change? And how do we support the changing wants and demands from the patients who get their care from our organizations and our healthcare? And even remote regulatory compliance. I don't know about you guys, but I've been involved in, I think, 2 or 3 remote reviews, whether it be through Joint Commission or CARF. Our world is changing as clinical engineers, and we need to make sure that we can step up with that. I think also really important to note, in one of the hospitals I worked with, 25% of our staff said their own personal mental health was their #1 challenge during COVID, followed second by childcare and kind of other tactical ways that people were dealing with this. And so I'd also say, clinical engineers need to think about how we're supporting mental health for ourselves, first of all, but then also for our patients, and what that platform is going to look like and what building capacity for mental health looks like in the future. Next slide, please. So in terms of what our hospital administrators need from clinical engineering, again, we need to be trained to solve these problems of tomorrow, and how we're going to do that. And it's really difficult to train people for something that is completely unknown. But we definitely have the skills. We have such a great global community here that we can continue to grow this profession. We can continue to grow active and inquisitive leaders who have the technological understanding to take care and navigate any of these things that are thrown our way. So what hospital administrators need from clinical engineering is just that proactive problem solving, understanding emerging trends, which can be really difficult, which is why being integrated into IFMBE CED and the daily updates is really important, because you can bring that information to your organization and say, hey, this is truly what is going on, excuse me, or this is truly kind of the next piece that we have here. obviously stepping up to the plate. You know, we talked about how we have a lot on our plate. So as new things come to us, just make sure as clinical engineers that we are taking care of ourselves and that we are rising to the challenge to take care of our patients. Next slide, please. So again, just a quick call to action, you know, make sure that you stay connected with IFNBE CED, all of the great content that they have, all of the great network of folks that you have around the world who have such good lessons learned from COVID. Connect with your C-suite or your executive team and make sure you're meeting their needs, or you understand maybe some of the unique and dynamic challenges they're facing, so that you can think about how you can better serve your organization as well as your patients. Make sure to inform yourself and speak up. And I would say, you know, again, also very important to take care of yourself, again, during this challenging and dynamic time. You know, take the precautions that feel safe to you, talk to others about the precautions, or maybe their anxiety with the precautions they want to take, and just make sure to be a key part of that clinical team in your healthcare organization and on our global community. Next slide. And just thank you all for your time today.
All right. Great, Jenna. And I hope you feel better soon.